Welcome back. You're watching BBC Breakfast. Now, trading standards officers say criminals are increasingly using fake banking apps to scam people who are selling goods, and it can be difficult to spot. These fraudulent apps are designed to look exactly like legitimate bank accounts or payment apps. Scammers will meet the seller in person, then ask them to enter their bank details so the fraudster can supposedly pay for the items. This then generates a fake message saying the payment has been successful, tricking the seller into thinking the money has been transferred. Scam is being described as an emerging threat, with Action Fraud saying they've received 500 reports of crimes like this in the last 3 years. Our reporter Nathan Heath has been speaking to some of those who've been affected.
You lose faith in humanity, I would say, that somebody can literally be that low.
Anthony was selling his tools to make some cash, but when the buyer turned up, it didn't go to plan.
Normally when you get robbed, you get pickpocketed or somebody smashes a window and breaks into your house. I've never known anyone to look you in the eye in your workplace.
The buyer used a fake banking app to transfer the money. He left with the tools, but the payment never arrived.
I found that absolutely sickening that you could shake someone's hand and then rob them. This just goes and sort of tipped me over the edge to the point I couldn't take the time off work what I needed, so I had to resign.
In the last 3 years, Action Fraud received about 500 reports of fake banking apps. It's a scam which Trading Standards says is an emerging threat.
The amount of money that is available as a result of fraud now, it's so huge, and the relative levels of enforcement that are possible means that it's a crime type which is attracting more and more professional criminals as they realise it's relatively low risk and high reward.
The apps used in this scam look really similar to mobile banking that we use every day. They show you a balance, transaction list, and you can make payments, which gives you a notification. But it's all fake. Apps like these have already been removed from the Google Play Store, but I found they're still available to download elsewhere online. In a statement, Google told the BBC the safety and security of its users is a top priority, and if it discovers an app that violates its policies, it takes action.
Be really wary of the pressure that you might put under to accept a payment by bank transfer. Never hand over a good or an item that you're selling unless you're sure that the money is in your bank account, and check yourself on your own bank account. Don't trust a sort of third-party verification.
Seb's repair shop has been targeted 3 times. He's lost hundreds to fraudsters using fake banking apps.
The vulnerable feeling is that you might be working 10 years to buy yourself something nice, or in my case, 15 years to make this business, and somebody walks in and takes something that doesn't belong to them. It's like taking a piece of you, you know?
He's spending more on security because he no longer feels safe. He thinks it's only a matter of time before they strike again.
There's nowhere to go. You cannot find them. You can report them to the police, but chances of anything being done about it are fairly slim without more proof. It almost is like a situation without answer, without ending.
Nathan Heath, BBC News.
We're joined now by Catherine Hart from the Chartered Trading Standards Institute. Morning to you.
Morning.
I mean, Seb's put extra security in. He's terrified once this happens. When someone is scammed, it feels like your house has been burgled. It's that same pit in the stomach feeling, isn't it?
Absolutely, because the last thing you think, at the end of the day, you're thinking you've got a secure transaction. They are showing you, they're giving you proof. So the last thing you think that you've become a victim of fraud.
What can people do? I mean, we kind of went through how the scammers are doing this, but so many people use banking apps and, are really au fait with them and kind of think that they're absolutely normal. So when you're handed something, say, just put your details in there and you'll see it go through. We're used to seeing that. What can people do to prevent this?
Well, what we'd urge people to do is take a little bit of time and make sure that it's actually gone to your actual bank. Check on your online banking app. If it's for a big transaction, potentially call your bank as well. Make sure that it has gone through.
But how soon, when a transaction happens, so sometimes the banking app will say, oh, this will show in a couple of hours. You know, when it's immediate and then someone's saying, oh, got to go now, got to go, let's just get this done quickly, I've got to go on to the next. But it's really, you can be really harried really quickly.
Absolutely, but that's what a lot of the time the criminals are relying on, is to put you on that state of alert. So we have to be a little bit confident. We have to be confident to actually say, oh, hang on a second, I'm not releasing this item until I know that it's gone through to my bank. Because, you know, we know that these banking apps are available, and we know that the criminals are using them. So it's, you know, it's not just for businesses either, it's for consumers in their own home. So we need to be a little bit more alert that this is actually happening.
Kath, I think maybe, I don't think it's just me, but I think people are more familiar with the idea of be careful when you're buying things.
Yes.
That's sort of where I think most people focus on. Where am I spending my money? This is a different twist on the same problem.
100%. You know, it's an awful situation that we're in now, that we're having to have this air of distrust about who we're buying and who we're selling from. So for a consumer in their own house, if you're going to buy something off like you know, the marketplace or something like that, have a look at the profile, see how long they've actually created that profile. Has it only been up for a couple of days? Things like that would make me a little bit suspicious. I think it's great to install things like Ring cameras and CCTV. And it's an awful situation now we're having, because a lot of the time we can't identify the perpetrators. So at least having some sort of backup with CCTV or Ring cameras will give us an idea of who the actual perpetrators are.
OK, in a lot of situations, people don't have access to those things. That's just not not practical. So, you know, in other circumstances, give us your best guide as to what's the point at which the alarm bells should be ringing. The most and I know that a lot of people say, check with someone else, even if it's someone in the house at the time, when you're doing a purchase or, in this case, making a sale. That notion of just checking with someone else, does this look or feel right? Which I know is not so very scientific, but what are the guidelines, you think?
Absolutely. Having somebody else with you, it gives you peace of mind, but also helps you identify that person. Let's face it, you know, you might be in a very quick situation, they're trying to get out of the house. But the other thing as well, or the house or the business, but the other thing is to give yourself a little bit of time. If you're selling a high-end purchase, be patient. Make sure that transaction's gone through before you release it. So we'll just try and not sort of pass on your goods so quickly.
Do the same rules apply as in when you've been scammed in terms of bank protection?
Well, it's slightly different for businesses. So, but we do still urge people to report it. These sorts of crimes...
But once you've reported it to the bank, what kind of obligation has the bank got to protect you in the same way that if our individual personal accounts are scammed?
Well, there's still a fraud that's taken place here. So really, you know, we need to make sure that it's reported to the police and it is reported to the bank, because then we're able to sort of put in protection measures and also try and find out where that money's gone to. Sometimes it's very, very difficult. So we just urge people to do as much reporting as they can and do not be embarrassed about it. We find, as I say, this is very underreported.
I'm sure that's true. Catherine, I'm intrigued by your title. You're from Chartered Trading Standards Institute. Yeah. If I got this right, lead officer for doorstep crime, scams and consumer vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Is that the full title?
It is indeed.
Something tells me yours is a very busy workload.
It is a very busy workload. We're seeing many, many different sort of scams in all sorts of different guises at the end of the day, and it makes businesses and consumers very vulnerable.
Thank you for your time this morning.
You're very welcome.
It's coming up to 20 minutes to 8. Good morning.